With its screaming wind and unstoppable storm surge, Hurricane Irma is a worst-case scenario come to life.
Hurricane Irma was one of the strongest storms we've seen in the Atlantic Basin. 185 miles per hour was the sustained wind speed at peak maximum intensity, a truly devastating storm.
Irma's the 9th named storm of the 2017 hurricane season. Extreme weather that wiped out communities, destroying property valued at more than $300 billion. It was the costliest Atlantic hurricane season on record.
If you get just one of these storms like Irma, it's going to be a bad season.
By the time Irma begins ripping through Florida, millions have fled for their lives. But a few brave souls venture straight into the storm to witness its fury for the rest of us.
This is an eye wall. This is truly an eye wall here. And now the intensity of it is right upon us.
The eye wall is the most powerful part of a storm, and that's where Mike Bettis ended up with this storm.
When it's a constant bombardment of wind like this, you're just bracing yourself the entire time. It is really physically taxing.
These high winds can also turn harmless debris into high-velocity lethal rockets.
I keep scanning because I'm always watching for flying debris.
When we're in the field covering hurricanes, we need to make sure there's not a lot of debris that's going to be blowing around. There needs to be shelter to duck into quickly if things do go downhill.
Even if you dodge the debris, you always have to worry about the wind and rain.
You turn a certain way and you just get hammered by the rain in your mouth. It's hard to talk, it's hard to breathe.
And sometimes you'll be hit broadside by the wind, and so the wind knocks the wind out of you.
The trees are doing pretty well. Wish I could say the same for myself.
I have been covering hurricanes for the better part of 20 years.
We're gonna get out of this.
And then came Irma, far and away the toughest, strongest, baddest hurricane I've ever been in.
About 100 miles south of Mike Bettis, veteran storm photographer Jim Eds documents Hurricane Irma's arrival at Big Pine Key in the Florida Keys. Cameraman Mark Rackley comes along to film Eds as he works.
A hurricane will go through there and it won't even slow down. There's not enough landmass. The Florida Keys is about 106 miles of islands attached with 60 bridges. It's just gonna mow right over it like an island grinder type storm. And I wanted to get it at its strongest point.
Just about every resident had left. All the visitors were gone, and all of the mobile homes were evacuated from the Keys as well.
It looked like a ghost town to me.
Eds and Rackley set up a base camp at a house belonging to Rackley's girlfriend as the eye wall of the hurricane spins closer. The storm chasers have front row seats for Irma, but if things go bad, they'll come at a heavy price.
You really can be cut off from everything, from help, from rescue.
Something as simple as a badly twisted ankle can become life-threatening. Nobody's coming to get you.
The eye wall of Hurricane Irma slams into Big Pine Key.
It was pretty scary. I took a radar pixel reading of what the winds were in the eye wall, and it said 163, and I felt like we were in trouble.
You see the winds, they're just lashing and lashing the trees. It's just relentless. You take a look at him and he's just soaked.
You could lay down, because sometimes the wind's blowing too strong, you had to lay down.
He really took a beating to really get all of that footage.
Irma is on the move. The eye wall passes. Eds and Rackley suddenly find themselves in the relative quiet that is the eye of a hurricane.
Actually, I was fooled. I thought the storm was over. It started to clear up a little bit, so I think, hey, this thing's come and gone. And he goes, we're in the eye. And I go, hey, wait a minute. That's it, we're in the eye.
It's like nothing else on Earth. And it's a place few humans will ever see.
So we're in the eye, and I immediately knew what was going to happen. You're going to get a wind shift. The winds are going to come from the south.
Now, the back half of the eye wall of Hurricane Irma is moving on to Big Pine Key.
As the winds shift in direction, then you have that storm surge, and you start to see the water coming up and flooding that street that is just outside that structure that they're in.
That storm surge, extremely, extremely deadly, powerful, and sobering when you see that.
I'm sure these guys are qualified, they're very experienced, but it still has to be a little unnerving when you see the water just kind of coming up and surrounding you.
Water's coming up, and now we've got about 6 inches of water, so I said, okay, let's get out of here, let's go up the steps.
Eds and Rackley continue to film Irma from the second floor. Just another day at the office.
My goal is to capture the most powerful scenes the hurricane has to offer. The storm surge coming through, the winds, things blowing apart. I hear the call of the wind, and I got to get out and film it.
After ransacking Florida, Irma storms north into Georgia. She's softened from a hurricane to a tropical storm, but Irma's still capable of inflicting pain.
Irma has already done its damage along the coastlines, but now we're still seeing a lot of heavy rain as it pushes on shore and inland. We're driving along Highway 92 in Georgia. The ground is soaked and it's raining right now.
This person is exceptionally lucky that the tree didn't land on the compartment of the car because they likely would have been killed instantly.
An eyewitness checks on the driver and reports that she is rattled but okay.
How could you have foreseen this happening? You can't.
But it seems the driver's survival is more than just luck.
They're slamming on the brakes. They see something. They hit the brakes just in time, and they brake just enough. If they didn't hit their brakes, that tree would have come down on top of them.
This incident impacts just one person in one car on a country road in Georgia. An entire region, thousands of square miles, was laid to waste by the powerful storms that struck during the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season. 3
of those were Category 4 and above, something we haven't seen before. Truly devastating storms that intensified very quickly.
In 2017, there were so many islands that got hit with the worst part of some of the most intense storms we've seen in that part of the world on record.
Hurricanes can bring so much destruction and cause so much pain that the effects may never leave some people. It will linger with them, most likely for the rest of their lives.